All right, everybody. Good morning and welcome to today's Autism Live. We're here to talk about autism. Maybe you're an autism parent. Maybe you suspect your child may be autistic and you want to find answers. Is my child autistic? Maybe you're autistic and just found out, or maybe you think maybe you're autistic. Maybe you're a professional and you work with autistic people. If you fit any of those categories, you're in the right place. We go live every single day to have conversations about autism. My name is Kylan Heiner. I live in Utah, and I'm a board certified behavior analyst. I'm also a parent of 2 young children diagnosed with autism. I'm an autism advocate. I fight for the rights of our children who are autistic. I am extremely overprotective of autism parents because I understand how hard this is. I've had those breakdowns. I've had days where I don't know what the future looks like for my child. I've had days where I don't know how I'm going to go on to the next day. Somehow I did. I have a master's degree in autism studies, and I'm the CEO of a company that serves people with autism. We're opening our 4th autism clinic in the state of Utah right now. And what I try to do is surround myself with people who are the smartest people that I have ever met. And I learn so much from them. And so I try to take into these lives all those things that I've learned, that I do learn, and I try to relay those things to everyone here. I try to dispel the misinformation that is so common around autism. And I try to do it with love and with care. Let's go ahead and look at some of these comments, you guys. If you are an autism parent, or if you are autistic, or if you're just here to learn, you're all welcome here. Thank you for being here. Let me know in the chat where you're from. Do we have people globally? Put it in the chat. Is it too taboo to talk about stem cell treatment? No, it's not too taboo. There's some interesting theory around stem cell. In fact, there are variations of stem cell therapy that have been really effective in the lab, especially with animals, to address autism-like traits in animals. The expansion to humans, one is not sufficient evidence to show it's an effective treatment, and 2, the evidence we do have is mixed. It's expensive. It's not FDA approved. It's not something that I recommend at this point. Okay, where is everyone from? South Africa. That's pretty cool. Welcome from South Africa. Bermuda Triangle. Okay. New York City. I love that. Vermont, Seattle, North Dakota, Texas. I see you all. Thank you all for being here. What is your advice on a 2-year-old eloping and how to stop it? Breck, eloping is really hard. My kids elope. My 2 kids who are autistic, they elope. If we're in public and we don't have our hands on them, they wander off. And it's not so much them trying to escape. They're not trying to get away from us. But they don't reference us as their point of center, as the place that they need to reference. They just go. And it's terrifying. And so it is a skill that you can work on, but the immediate advice is, number 1, secure your environment. You need locks. If your child can open doorknobs, you need locks in place. If you are around water, you need to know all of those areas. If you have a pool, you need to make sure that is secured. Security and prevention is key starting out. And as your child gets older, they're absolutely going to be working on that. That needs to be a top priority. We do have a lot of comments here. Oh, you know what I need to do? I am also over on the YT platform. I can't say the name out loud here. But I do read more of a higher percentage of those comments because there's fewer people actually over on that platform. I'm still fairly new to the YT platform. Again, I can't say the full name of it, but if you want a guarantee that I will read your question, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and comment it over there, but I do get to a lot of the ones over here on TikTok. Why do people think it's fake? I don't know. That is ridiculous to me that people would think autism is fake. Have you guys heard that before? Why do you guys think people think autism is fake? I've heard people think it's overdiagnosed, which is ridiculous. My dad doesn't believe in autism. He's 58. Yeah. Guys, let me tell you, the worst of this comes when it's a family member and what they tell you is, hey, he doesn't look autistic, or he's just a boy. Boys will be boys. He's just a boy. Let him be a boy. Don't put that label on him. You're going to hurt him. Let me tell you that attitude, their fear of harming their child with a label, is actually what's harmful for that child. I think a lot of it comes from pride. I think parents who deny it in their child, they're prideful because they want something for their child. They never saw themselves as having an autistic child, and they go into denial because they're not ready to accept it. I was there. I worked in this field for over a decade before my own child was diagnosed. And even with that experience, I knew on a deep down level, but I fought it for a minute and thought, you know what? He's going to grow out of this. Can it be treated? Okay, so treatment is a little bit of a concerning term just because autism is not a disease. It's not something that needs to be cured. And typically in this field, we prefer the term supported. Autism needs to be loved, it needs to be accepted, and it needs to be supported. And yes, there are real supports for autism. Now, that doesn't mean that those supports include things like cures or diets or supplements. That's not what we're talking about. Mostly, it's the therapies we're talking about. EJ says, what does it say about societal stigma that an expert in the field denied in their offspring? Yeah, I mean, it's bad that it took me, a week or so of really deep down, and I never said it out loud, but yeah, there was an internal struggle with me. And, if it happens with me, with someone who knows this world, I understand that. I think most parents, deny it a little bit at first. And, as a parent, I got to say though, with my daughter, that didn't exist. That was my first, and with the second, it was a lot easier now that I feel like I have no stigma around it, and I just absolutely love people who are autistic. I understand, EJ, totally understand. Hey, Lexi, good to see you. Does it bother you that it's trendy to say you have autism undiagnosed? As long as they say undiagnosed, I'm okay with it. Now, I do urge caution that because you identify with many autistic traits, you cannot claim to be autistic. And it does bother me if that happens. But I think usually what happens is they recognize that they have these autistic traits. They suspect that they're autistic. And I think that huge increase is speaking more to how undiagnosed autism was when we were all kids. That's what really bothers me. What really bothers me is how underdiagnosed autism has been forever. What do you think about Love on the Spectrum? Oh, I love it. I think it's great. I haven't seen this season, but I think it's great. I don't think it fully represents the entirety of the spectrum. Some people may feel like it's exploiting these individuals, but I like it. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I haven't watched the current one, but hello, are there any links between autism and the MTHFR gene? Okay, that is a really good question. The MTHFR gene. A lot of people have heard about this one. I think where the confusion comes is people say autism. If they say your child is autistic, autism is genetic, and then after that they say MTHFR, you can do a genetic test to see if you have an MTHFR mutation. And trying to connect those dots, it makes it seem like MTHFR is associated with autism or potentially a cause of autism. Now, I want to be very clear here that about 50% of the population has an MTHFR gene. And the data to support that autistic individuals have a much higher rate of this variation is not supported consistently throughout the research. It's too early to speak on that. It's not believed to be, it is not one of those core autism genes that we have found to be linked to autism. When people talk about genetic testing, they're not usually talking about, like when a doctor recommends genetic testing, they're not usually recommending the MTHFR. That is not a standard recommendation that professionals in the autism field give. That is one of those things that's more along the lines of, let me tell you how this goes, okay? And I'm going to be real honest here, and some people aren't going to be happy with how I say this. But the MTHFR, the theory is that if you have this, which 50% of people do, then your body, it impacts your ability to process toxins. Now, if your body has trouble clearing out toxins, then it makes you more susceptible to the toxins found in food and in vaccines. Therefore, if your MTHFR, if you test for MTHFR gene variation, then you're more susceptible to toxins causing autism. Now, that connection is not supported by evidence. And so that is not something to test for. There is no correlation between these toxins after birth and autism. And so that just needs to be something that you're aware of. All right, you guys, what do you mean toxins? Yeah, toxins, a lot of people think toxins cause autism. Toxins is in heavy metals found in vaccines. A lot of people blame mercury and aluminum, thinking that just because true heavy metal poisoning can cause brain damage, they suspect the very small doses that people have, if they're susceptible, extra sensitive to them, then that causes brain damage in the form of autism. That theory is not accurate. That is not supported by evidence. But the MTHFR push always leads down that road. So once you do the MTHFR gene, then they try to sell you the OAT test. And then once you do the OAT test, which tells you all the things you need to detox from, then they have a set regimen of detox protocols. And all of that is based on this unfounded science that you need to detox these metals and toxins from your body and mold from your body to prevent, reverse or cure or treat autism. Okay, everybody. Hey, who do we have in here? We got a good group of people. We got almost 400 people. If you are brand new here, do I have people here who are seeing me for the first time? If you do, if I came across your For You page today, I want to know about it. Put FYP in the chat. Put FYP in the chat. If I came across your For You page today, FYP in the chat. That's a lot of people, you guys. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. Dylan, I see your question. I'll get to it here in just a second. For all of you new people, let me do a quick introduction. So if you look right here, there's a follow button. Make sure you're following because that means you can see my live next time. I'm an autism dad. I have 2 kids diagnosed with autism. I'm also a board-certified behavior analyst. I work with people with autism. I've been working with them since 2013. I have a master's degree in autism studies, and I'm the CEO of a company that supports people with autism here in the state of Utah. And so I go live every single day, to talk about autism. There's nothing I'm more passionate about. Dylan says, my wife is on the spectrum and gets overwhelmed very easily. Are there any tips to make her time easier? Dylan, one of my first questions is, does she have an autism diagnosis? Or is it suspected autism at this point? When I go through the autism journey, my first thought is you need a village. You need people who are supportive. You are part of her village. Number 2, you need clarity. Do you have a full diagnosis? Is this because it might not just be autism? Maybe she's ADHD, which refers to ADHD and autism. So you need to get that clarity with the clear diagnosis from a full evaluation. After that, then you can start setting up the care team of how do we actually give her professional support to help her get through some of the challenges that she has. You sound like an amazing husband wanting to be here and support her. Thank you for being here. Got my diagnosis today, trying to get some knowledge on and connect with people on the spectrum. Hey, this is awesome. Put me in the chat if you are autistic or you suspect you are autistic. We get a lot of autism parents. We also get a lot of people who are autistic on here. And a lot of professionals or people just interested. Put me in the chat if you are autistic. Look, if you just got a diagnosis, you're in the right place. You're not alone. We got a lot of people who suspect they're autistic or may be autistic. If you suspect that you're autistic, be careful about what screeners you use. My recommendations are to start out with the RADS 14. That is linked to my bio. It's a free screener. It can't diagnose you with autism. It's only 14 questions. And that way, if you don't show any signs, it filters you out pretty quick. Now, if it does indicate, if you score over 14, then it's clinically significant that you're autistic. Or not that you're autistic, but that you should be evaluated. Now, the next step is you can complete the full RADS assessment, which is 80 questions, a lot longer. And that can give you a next step. Now, you can't say you're autistic until you go and you get evaluated by a psychologist who can diagnose you with autism. All right, everybody. Done 3 different screens. All 3 pretty much said the same thing. Yeah, autistic dope. Those screeners, I mean, they're clinically significant for sure. And it's good to go and insurance pays for these evaluations, you guys. It's just sometimes you have to be on a wait list. So should your partner do research on autism if you have a light form of it? I think that's beautiful. I think it's beautiful to learn all you can about how to support autism. Now, I want to also be cautious about a light form of autism. We know what you mean. We know what you mean by that. But those who communicate well, that doesn't always mean that they're low impacted. We don't always know how hard someone is masking. We don't know how hard those internal battles are for them. We don't know that it's 10 times harder for them to be in a social situation than anyone else, but through years of masking and anxiety and depression, they're able to just get by. We don't know. The spectrum doesn't refer to like how light autism is versus how heavy it is, and we need to make sure we're not thinking about autism that way. What should an autism parent look for in an ABA therapist? I'm going to answer that, but first let me hop on over to the YT platform. We do have some comments for me to read. Any advice for a parent of an autistic child who's about to turn 18 and how we can best support and protect him? BP Frills, let me tell you some things. You are in a transition phase. For those of you that are autism parents and you have a young child, I know deep down you're thinking my kid's going to catch up and not have problems down the road. But the chances are if you have an autistic kid, you're going to need some level of support even through adulthood. This isn't a childhood concern. This is a lifelong concern that needs support. So my recommendation to you is to, depending on what type of support your child needs, you need to get on all the waivers for your state. If you're in the United States, you should be looking into that home and community-based services. There's wait lists for that. Your goal now is to think of what is going to happen when you're gone and how do I prepare him and set him up to be successful. And it really depends on the current state of your kid. Over on the YT platform, Kelly says, does autism run in families? I have a lot of family members diagnosed. My son, who is called my carbon copy, has it. And I think I do too. I was diagnosed with dyslexia in the 90s. Very good question. Is autism genetic? Yes. Autism is very much genetic. Yes. Autism is 80 to 90% genetic. Now, the rest refers to environmental factors that may contribute to autism. And so that doesn't necessarily mean you're autistic. If you are autistic, there's a 20% chance that your child is also going to be autistic. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, to pass on something genetically, that you also have to have autism. There is hundreds of genes associated with it, and it's very complex in how genes actually play out. There was a question that I missed that I want to make sure that I get to is, how can a parent pick an ABA provider? Let me tell you how to pick the best ABA provider. And while I do that, I'm curious if you if your child is in ABA therapy, put ABA in the chat. Let me know if your child's in ABA therapy. Put it in the chat there. So ABA therapy, if you don't know, is one of the recommended therapies for kids with autism. They can do a lot of good focusing on skill development, problem behavior reduction, and a lot of that skill development and behavior reduction comes through focusing on increasing communication. And it's only one of the big pictures, right? You got occupational therapy, speech therapy as well, sometimes mental health therapy. But ABA therapy tends to have the most hours associated with it. We're talking sometimes 30 hours a week that you have in therapy. Now, keep in mind, the person doing ABA therapy is a technician. They probably just graduated from high school. They're not a huge expert in this or on your child. They just graduated from high school. And they have very low amounts of training. That's what insurance pays for, okay? It's not that these companies don't want to hire the best, and we have some incredible RBTs, but that's just how this layout is. But the clinician, the board-certified behavior analyst, has a master's degree and thousands of hours of experience. They supervise the BCBA, or the BCBA supervises the RBT. And so the number one thing, if you're looking into ABA, the number one thing I want you to look for is, how does the BCBA supervise the RBT? I want you to go in and say, how often is the BCBA in person with the RBT and my child? Because a lot of companies nowadays, they find it easier and more cost efficient to hire remote BCBAs. There's a time and a place for that. If you're in a very remote area and there's no BCBAs around, that is incredible, but it is overused in this field. And I personally don't want my child to be getting supports that are primarily through virtual supports. I want a BCBA that is there in person, hands-on, training the RBT, because guess what? The RBTs, they come and go. They're not going to stick around long-term. So it's not about finding the right RBT. It's not about making sure the RBT is as qualified as possible. No, it is about what systems does your company have in place so that the behavior analyst is doing quality supervision with the behavior analyst. Okay, Mayra says, what vitamins help with controlling his emotions? Okay, that is a really good question. You're going to want to talk to your pediatrician about it. Just be aware that there is no vitamin, there is no supplement, there is no medication, there is no diet that by default is recommended simply because your child is autistic. However, there are specific medications or supplements that a pediatrician may recommend based on what your specific child is experiencing. For example, if your child is not sleeping well, they may recommend melatonin or magnesium. They may prescribe clonidine. Now, if your child is aggressive, there may be medications or supplements that a pediatrician can recommend. But it's not because your kid's autistic. It's because of what their behavior is looking like. I've never told my son that he has autism. Is that bad? Karina, that's a really good question. I'm glad you're thinking about it right now. And I don't know how old your child is. Let me offer a perspective. Okay, let me offer my perspective. I speak openly about autism in my home. My kids don't understand that they have autism, but if they could, they would know because we talk about it so openly. I believe that you are doing your child an injustice by them not knowing that they're diagnosed with autism. The reason for that is I've heard so many adults who wonder why things were harder for them throughout childhood. They wonder why school was so hard, why it was so hard to make friends, why they had to work so hard just to fit in, why they're not succeeding at their job. And the moment they find out that they had an answer this entire time but was not given to them, they come to resent their parent for it. Autism isn't just going to go away. When they're an adult, they may need accommodations. They may need support. And that diagnosis gives them validation for what they're going through, but it also gives them guidance on how to, or potential for what kind of supports could help. They could have a therapist. It's great to have therapists, you guys. You should have a therapist that you talk to. And if you're autistic, you should have a therapist that really understands autism. And that can be a game changer for a support for your child as they grow older. So yes, my recommendation to you is your children should know their medical diagnoses, including autism. That is how they're going to be able to self-manage their concerns that they have. But I understand. I mean, you're a very loving parent, and you're asking the right questions. And for me personally, I talk to my kids about it, and they're going to know what supports they need. And I'm going to work on with them on identifying what those are and how to advocate for those. Okay. Let's go ahead. I'm curious, who do we have in this chat, you guys? We're at 10,000 likes. The moment we get to 20,000, I am going to go through the autism news of the day. I do have to warn you, though, that sometimes it's a positive thing, sometimes it's a hard thing, and today may be the hardest one for me to get through. So I'm okay if we never get to 20,000 likes today. Feel free to not tap on that screen because maybe I don't want to go through this. It might be kind of hard for me to get through, but I will. If you guys get to 20,000, we'll get through this. And just know I'm not in a rush for it. Okay, who do we have in here? Put 1 in the chat if you're an autism parent or you're autistic. Put 1 in the chat. Put 2 Put 1 if you're an autism parent or suspect your child's autistic. Put 2 in the chat if you are autistic or suspect you are autistic. Put 3 in the chat if you are a professional or a just someone interested in autism. And if none of that fits, if you're a grandma, if you're an aunt, if you're anything like that, put in the chat what you are. I want to see who do we have in here. What kind of people? We got 1s, we got 2s mostly. I think there were a few 3s. Oh, we do have some 3s. We have a 3 here. Okay. I love this. Thank you all. Did your mom by chance take Tylenol while she was pregnant with you? I don't know. I'm not autistic, though. I have 2 kids with autism, and I'm an autism advocate, and I'm a board-certified behavior analyst. I don't know if my mom took Tylenol, but that doesn't have to do with autism. I know that was something shared, that there was one study from Harvard. It was a reputable study that identified a correlation between Tylenol and autism. Now, when that got dissected further, they found that there were significant confounding variables. What does that mean? Well, we already knew that infections in pregnancy is an environmental factor that can lead to autism. Now, what kind of medicine does a pregnant mother take when they have an infection? They take Tylenol. And so after you rule out some of these confounding factors of, was it the infection or was it the Tylenol? Also, when you factor in things having to do with siblings and other confounding factors, what they found was, in a meta-analysis, that there's no correlation between Tylenol and autism. Okay. We do have a comment over here on the YT platform. Again, if I'm missing any of your questions here on TikTok, feel free to hop on over. If you subscribe on the YT platform, I'll make sure I read your comments. It's a lot slower over there, so I get to just about everything over there. Over on the YT platform says, how do you help your picky eater that suffers from constipation regularly? She's 4. Her doctor recommended Restorlax, but does that messes with the gut over time? Constipation causes severe pain. It can disrupt sleep, which can disrupt development. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, sweet. I appreciate that. I really do. So we need to address the constipation. We also know that autistic kids are far more likely to have GI issues. Now, that doesn't mean the GI issues are causing autism. That is a leap and not supported by evidence. But we do know that autistic kids tend to have more gut-related issues. Some theories around that is that picky eating is related to gut-related issues. If you're not getting enough fiber or enough nutrients, that can lead to GI-related issues. And so absolutely, I recommend whatever your doctor recommended, please do that. Get your child comfortable. If your child cannot eat, if your child will not eat, I recommend 2 things. 1 is feeding therapy, and 2, follow your pediatrician's advice and help ensure that your child is comfortable. You don't need to go through all the detox protocols. You don't need to go get an oat test. You don't need to go and do all of these other things that people online are telling you. That's doing too much. You need to listen to your doctor. You need to listen to medical advice. But then you need to get into feeding therapy. So feeding therapy isn't a therapy type by itself. It refers to those who focus on feeding within their therapy. And that includes occupational therapists and speech therapists, typically that are expert in feeding, sometimes ABA, but usually it's speech or OT that are really experts in feeding. And so what you're going to want to do and what they're going to work on with your child is increasing variety of foods. The best thing for your child's gut isn't to get rid of dairy and to get rid of gluten, okay? You're going to hear that way too much. And maybe it is if your child's intolerant. If your child has celiacs, like absolutely no more gluten. You're going to have to make that change because it's making your kid very, very sick. But so many people in the autism community, they hear, oh, my child has gut issues and they're autistic. And you're immediately going to hear gluten-free, dairy-free. That's what you got to do. That cures autism. That supports autism. You got to do it. That is not, oh my gosh, Lexi, you just had to tell me. You guys got to the 20,000 too quick. What is this? All right, I guess I have to go through it. But increase variety of foods and do that through feeding therapy. That is my recommendation. And in the meantime, that's a long-term fix. In the meantime, whatever your doctor recommends to make your child comfortable and not constipated, please listen to your doctor. All right, you guys, we do have the news of the day. I don't know if I can get through this, you guys. Okay. This week, an Indiana teen, Indiana? Is that where this is? Landon Doty, 16 years old, was just found guilty of what is the TikTok friendly way of saying this? The R word, RAPE. I don't know what I can say about that. Grape. Well, that just turns it into something silly. Maybe that'll make it so I don't cry. 16-year-old. Oh, SA. I might like that better. He was just found guilty of SA, of a nonverbal boy. An Indiana teenager has been convicted of graping a nonverbal boy with autism while on a school bus. Landon Doty, 16, who was tried as an adult, was convicted on all counts. He was viewed... Sorry, guys. He was seen on the school bus surveillance video graping the 7-year-old nonverbal child over multiple incidents that occurred over several weeks last year. Guys, I don't know why y'all had to get to 20,000 today. I specifically told you not to. Okay. This happened. It happened a year ago, you guys. A bus monitor saw this teenager shove the child, who is nonverbal and has autism, from his lap. The monitor had the driver stop the bus to intervene, and after separating them, requested that the bus surveillance footage be reviewed. Doty testified in his defense, denying the allegations and claiming he was using calming techniques on the child, insisting that they were merely messing around. I was bouncing him on my knee like a kid, Doty said on the stand, per the outlet. Authorities said that the boy was assigned to sit next to Doty on a school bus for children with special needs, despite Doty not having any himself. I don't know why they were using a 16-year-old boy to help support a 7-year-old nonverbal boy. I don't know why they're doing this. I'm sorry, you guys. If this is too much, please don't feel bad if you can't listen. I'll give it 5 minutes and be back. If you can't listen to this, I totally understand. I can barely get through this. So, Doty's defense attorneys maintain that the bus driver and bus monitor did not see their client engage in any activity with the boy. However, prosecutors said the bus video speaks for itself. They deemed Doty beyond rehabilitation under the juvenile justice system. Let me summarize what I just read, you guys. A 16-year-old boy raped 7-year-old nonverbal boy with autism across multiple incidents while on a bus. The bus system had kids with special needs riding on the bus with other kids who did not need that support, and were pairing them up to help them support them, it sounds like. And this 16-year-old is claiming that he was just bouncing him on his knee, but the video showed otherwise, and he was found guilty and convicted as an adult. Guys, it makes me sick, but we need to talk about this stuff. We need to hear about it a little bit because it reminds us how vulnerable our children are. This 7-year-old boy couldn't come home and tell his parents what was going on. He couldn't go and speak up for himself. And it led to this abuse happening over a long period of time. We need to, man, when I hear these comments and then I hear people opposed to things like tracking your kids with AirPods and Angel Sense and giving them phones that you can hear and what they're going through or smartwatches, like all of that gets thrown out the window the moment I hear a story like this. I will do anything to protect my kids, and we need to keep our kids safe, you guys. Okay, let's move on. Please put your questions in the chat. Thank you for getting through that with me and helping me get through that. We just got through the autism news of the day, you guys. Thank you for being here. I'm going to catch up on some YT comments. That is linked in my bio. I do tend to read those because the chat is a lot slower. So if you do want to make sure those get read, you can hop over there and subscribe, or put your questions in the into TikTok, and our mods tend to tag or pin a bunch of them, and I read a bunch of them, and we try to answer as many as we can. My ABA is pushing a behavioral checklist saying it works the best. Mine doesn't seem to respond. What are they talking about, a behavioral checklist? Is this like a self-management procedure of like, hey, your child doesn't respond? Here's the theory behind a lot of these checklists is if your child is PDA, pathological demand avoidance profile, where they don't respond to you telling them what to do, then a self-management procedure of them having a checklist of the things that they need to do on their own can guide their own behavior. If they're talking about that, I love those. But if it's not working for your kid, they need to look at that and figure out why it's not working. Why does the MTHFR gene info say to avoid folinic acid like leucovorin? My son has both MTHFR and MTHFS. I don't know. I can't speak on that exactly. I know that there are some dietary concerns with MTHFR, things that you do have to be mindful of. I recommend talking to your doctor, but I also know 50% of people have the MTHFR gene variation. And so it's not something that is rare. It's not something that is debilitating. It's something that is not understood how it relates to autism, but is not recommended that we even need to test our kids with autism for MTHFR at this point. Does the feeling of just not being as good as everyone else ever go away? Queen, are you autistic? Asking this question. I'm sorry, Queen, that you feel this way. You deserve to feel like you are enough, and it's societal stigmas that are that way. If you're autistic, you are enough. You don't need a mask to fit in. You making eye contact doesn't give you value. You sitting still without headphones on doesn't give you value. You having to ask questions that other people don't have to ask doesn't make it so you don't have value. You have value because of who you are. And I tell you what, the world is a better place because of minds that think differently. You are plenty good, Queen. What are your thoughts on we are all on the spectrum over here on the TikTok platform? We are not all on the spectrum. Let me tell you my thoughts on this. Saying we're all on the spectrum or we're all a little autistic is like saying we're all a little bit pregnant. No, we're not. I'm not pregnant. I'm not pregnant at all. Now, you can have someone that's like 1 month pregnant and someone that's 9 months pregnant, right? There's kind of a spectrum of pregnancy there. But you wouldn't say like one person is a little bit or everyone's a little bit pregnant. It's more about like if you meet the clinical requirements, the diagnostic criteria for autism, you're on the spectrum. And then from there, it's not about how autistic are you. It's about what support needs do you have and how do we support you with that? Hello, I'm a female. I've been wanting to be tested for autism for some time. What is the process? How long does it take for an adult to be tested for autism? Okay. If you suspect you're autistic or if you suspect your child is autistic, then the first place to start is a screener. You got to do a screener because you can rule out autism fairly easily with these and ease your mind and say, okay, like we're not. Now, what it's not good, it can't diagnose you. What it can do is if you score below the clinically significant threshold on these screeners, you can go to bed, sleep well at night knowing that you did these screeners. If you're still worried, keep your eye on it over time. But your first thought is do a screener. I have them linked to my bio of a couple that you can do based on your age. But do a screener first, and then you schedule with a psychologist. Now, they may be booked a year out, so it might be a waiting time, but your insurance should pay for it. They'll do an evaluation. It usually takes a couple hours. They may do an hour of an interview with you, and then they'll just interact with you and try to observe what it looks like. For children, they do the ADOS, which allows them to play with the child in a way that tests to see if they show autistic traits. What's a screener? A screener refers to like a short quiz, anywhere from, the shortest one is 14, the RADS 14 that I have linked to my bio, all the way up to, 80, 100 plus questions that just says, hey, look, like you may or you may not have autism, but you scored this much, and that is you're at high risk of autism. It screens you for autism. It says, is it possible you have autism? And it can indicate like, hey, don't worry about it, or hey, you should probably go schedule an evaluation. It doesn't diagnose you with autism, though. Let's see. Over on the YT platform, I don't agree that autism is a spectrum in the way people think. As someone with ADHD, having traits does not mean you have autism, just like having tumors doesn't mean you have cancer. So the spectrum is definitely misleading, that it's not about how autistic are you. It's about like what level of support do you need in each of those domains. And there's people that communicate fully, but they have high level of support needs with regards to their sensory needs. Like it is not a scale of from 1 to 10, how autistic are you? Can you give examples of the questions? Yeah, for sure. Let's pull it up. I think that could be fun. Let's look up let's pull up. It's linked in my bio, by the way, if you guys want to do this. I'll start with ones for your kids. What questions do we ask kids to see if they're autistic? Well, let's take a look at it. Oh, come on. I'm getting there, you guys. I'm getting there. Okay, let's do it. Does your child enjoy being swung, bounce on your knee, etc.? Now, keep in mind that kids with autism often, they love that movement. Okay. Does your child take interest in older children? No, like a lot of kids don't if they're autistic. Does your child like climbing on things? That is a big thing, that if your child's autistic, they may love to climb on things. And so they'll ask about climbing. They'll ask about some social play. Do they play pretend? I think it's good. And another part to ask this question is, for a child, what were the earliest signs that parents saw? And I'm curious, autism parents here, what were the earliest signs of autism you saw in your children? Struggle eating, hand flapping. Okay, yeah, my child didn't respond to their name, and he stimmed a lot. He was fixated on lights and on his hand at a very young age. He would stare at his hand. So, oh, what does it mean if your child bumps his head with your head? Is it a sign of care, love each other? Moray, you're talking about the autism third eye hug. The autism third eye hug is one of my favorite topics to talk about. I don't know who told you about that, but this is a thing. Not all kids with autism do that, but a lot of kids with autism, they don't like the hug. They don't want to touch you like that. But one way that they often do feel a sense of connection is to go right up to your head like this and give you the third eye hug. Now, it's not something like mystical or something like that, but it is something special that it's their way many times of saying, I like you being close to me. I see you. I love you. And when they don't have the words to say that, that third eye hug means the world. Now, the third eye hug is something I heard from someone else, and then I made a couple videos about it that got a lot of traction, and I think it's something a lot of people refer to, third eye hug. You don't have to call it that. Yeah, maybe there's a better name for it, but I think it's cute. Okay. I don't agree with level of support either. The current system is broken and flawed. I am labeled low needs and can't access supports because I used to be able to mask well enough in public. Yeah, definitely flawed. Over on the YT platform as well, I came from TikTok to say that most of my ADHD symptoms are very much autistic traits. My ADHD doesn't invalidate my autism. Guys, ADHD and autism go together, okay? They are not on the same spectrum. It used to be, so in 2013, they made it, before then, if you were autistic, you couldn't be diagnosed with ADHD because they said ADHD was already captured in the autism diagnosis. Now, research suggests they're totally separate. They're separate diagnoses. And in fact, they're conflicting diagnoses. I think some of the people going through the most challenges right now are our ADHD friends. Now, why is that? It's because ADHD and autism want conflicting things. ADHD wants the novelty, the change, do the thing that provides most reward right now. Autism wants stability, routine, low sensory input, and calmness. Those two things, they need to regulate those systems, but when you choose one or the other, it activates the other side of them. And so it's really hard to regulate. So I feel for you. If you're ADHD, that's a hard thing. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. What is atypical autism? It's a good question. Let's look it up. Oh, PDD-NOS refers to a condition not on the spectrum. Okay, I don't think this is... so my understanding is... so PDD-NOS, so the autism diagnosis is now more encompassing, okay? Back in 2013, before 2013, when they changed the diagnostic criteria, there were 3 diagnoses that were often given. Autism spectrum disorder, PDD-NOS, and Asperger's. Now, these 3 diagnoses are now included and lumped into the autism spectrum. So I don't think atypical autism is typically referred to anymore, from my understanding. If someone knows something different, let me know. That's my understanding of it. Let's see. I'll keep looking, though. I'll keep looking. That's something. I guess some people also say atypical autism refers to they show some traits of autism, but are not diagnosed autistic. Now, I want to be cautious about that because you can have some traits of autism and not be autistic. But I got to tell you, the autism spectrum, it's not perfect. Like I think there are people being missed still because I don't think the spectrum is we perfectly encapture everybody. But that doesn't mean you're a little bit autistic. You can have autistic traits without meeting the criteria for autism. Are you autistic yourself? I am not autistic. You know what though? Like when my kids were diagnosed and I'm learning about autism and I know that autism is largely genetic, it definitely caused self-reflection. I've done all the screeners, have not indicated autism for me. But hey, some people, if atypical autism were a thing, I could talk about that. I definitely, on the special interest side, I go heavy on the special interests. I tend to go all in for a few months on something. Or longer. I mean, I do tend to have these heavy special interests. Okay, can you explain the brain differences between someone with autism and someone without? Oh my gosh, one of my favorite topics. You guys, let's talk about the autism brain. I think the autistic brain is beautiful, but there is a documented difference between an autistic brain and a neurotypical brain that we have seen and research has documented. Now, just know this isn't something that you can see in a brain scan, but they have been able to go and do like autopsies afterwards and have found this difference commonly shows up. But here is something fascinating, you guys. So as a baby is born, they have connections in the brain that start to form, okay? They're learning their world, the whole world. They're learning their environment. And these synaptic connections start firing in the brain. And they make these connections. And as the baby develops and grows, a lot of those connections they don't need to have, right? Like they don't need to pay attention to the sound of the ceiling fan in the background. That can be pruned out. And so the body starts going through what's called pruning. And that means those irrelevant synaptic connections, those can go away. And let's just pay attention to those things most important. That's when the baby starts responding to their name, because you talking tends to be that synaptic connection that has value. However, the filling of the socks on their feet, that goes away. Now, they have found that autistic people tend to prune differently. That their synaptic connections sometimes, pruning can be not be done enough, or in some circumstances, can prune things that shouldn't be pruned. And so that explains two things. One, the sensory overload quite often is explained by this theory around pruning, that the brain is firing so much that they're feeling and seeing and experiencing so much in their environment at the same time that it feels so loud and overwhelming. And then you can finally put some headphones on or leave a loud environment or be in a safe place and it feels quiet. This explains that sensory overload. This also helps explain regressions. So regressions, one of the leading theories about what causes regressions is pruning in the brain. That it's not just that sometimes autistic brains don't prune enough, but there are times that pruning happens and those relevant connections of hearing their name and responding to their name, that connection can be broken or set aside during that pruning, and you start seeing the regression. And so fascinating ways that we have learned about how the autism brain and neurotypical brain work. But again, this is not something that you can go and diagnose through a brain scan. Autism is at this point diagnosed by what we observe. All right, let me give a little bit of an introduction about myself. I like to do that about every 15 minutes or so. My name is Kylan. I'm a board-certified behavior analyst. I have 2 children diagnosed with autism. I love them to death. I'll do anything for my kids. I think you don't understand how much I would do for my children. Well, actually, I think you do, because I think a lot of you are autism parents. But I would do anything for them. I will be anything. I will move mountains for my kids, and part of that is me coming on these lives every day. because I want the world to be a better place for my kids. I do not like how cruel the world is to autistic kids. I don't like how environments are so unaccommodating to our children or to autistic people. And I think we can change that. And I think we are changing that. I'm also here to build a village. We have a Facebook group linked to my bio. We have a Discord chat linked to my bio. That is a great place to go, ask questions, be involved with each other, talk about things outside of this live. And holy cow, I'm manifesting. That was so cool. Thank you so much. You guys, these gifts, I got to tell you, it means the world to me because it tells TikTok that I have support and it sends it out to more people. That means everything. Thank you so much, manifesting. That means the world. Okay, so I do go live on a daily basis. I'm also, I run a company that serves people with autism in the state of Utah. So if you are in Utah and you need supports, I can point you in the right direction. I'm not saying my company's right for everybody, but I am well connected in Utah, and I can connect you with what you need. If you need speech therapy, OT, if you need ABA, if you need a diagnosis in Utah, I got connections, you guys. Message me, I can help you out if you're in Utah. But I do go live on the daily basis. So if you are new here and it still says following, that means that you're going to miss it next time I go live. You don't want to miss these. It's really good. We're almost to the point that I'm going to be bringing some guests up and answering questions that way. But for now, we'll keep this conversation going. My 7-year-old is Asperger's autistic. The behavior checklist is to get him to do or stop behaviors we want to see or not see, such as kicking, throwing, and following instructions. Okay, so there is a lot of research for not so much a behavioral checklist, but a contract where we say, hey, for this period of time, you're going to do these things every day. You're not going to do these things. And if your child, it sounds like, is communicative, able to talk about future planning, then you can say, yeah, at the end of this week, if you have met all these criteria, this is the reward that you get. Yes, you're right. Asperger's is outdated. It is now just autism spectrum disorder. That's a good point. But yeah. So my recommendation, if that's not working, you're going to want to talk to the behavior analyst about shortening that time frame. One of the hardest things for people with autism to do is to delay rewards. Is to say, hey, you know what? You have to do all this work today, tomorrow, the next day, and for a week. And then after a week, you get rewarded. That's a skill that you have to be able to teach. It's an important skill for people to have, to delay reinforcement. But it sounds like your kid, that might be too much for him. Amy says, I think the person who has the diagnosis or is the parent, they're allowed to say whatever they like. Yeah, I don't think we got to correct people, but it is good info to have that, like, Asperger's is not a diagnosis in the DSM, but also ADHD is not a diagnosis in the DSM. They're two separate diagnoses that we've created a nickname for. So I think sometimes Asperger's is still used as a nickname to refer to people who maybe would be diagnosed level 1 on the spectrum at this moment. Thoughts on leucovorin? Okay, that's a good question. I'm excited about it. I don't use it with my kids, though. So where we're at with leucovorin, this is not one of those fraudulent things. This is not one of those scams. There is real research suggesting it may be beneficial. But the research is still early on, and it's still mixed, and we don't have clear information on dosing. We don't have clear information on risks. It's not FDA approved. And so at this point, it is not recommended as a treatment for autism. And even the FRAT test, which is supposed to be used to figure out who it's best for, that has not been validated and is widely used only in one lab to be done. And so these things need to be more standardized. They need to be more validated, and evidence needs to be a little bit stronger. I think over the next year, now that there's a lot of popularity with it, you're going to see a lot more info coming out. I hope the research is positive and that this can be a viable help to a lot of kids. But right now, it's not something that's recommended that people do. Oh, do your kids have a water obsession as well? I saw a question as well earlier about this, saying, what do we do about water safety? Guys, let me talk about water for a second. Do you guys know the number one cause of accidental unaliving in kids with autism? It's drowning. Kids with autism are up to 160 times more likely to drown than their neurotypical peer. When I look for daily news, every single day, there's an article that I see about another autistic kid who was drowned. They elope, and the number one place you should search when your child elopes is bodies of water, unfortunately. And so, what do we do about this? What do we do about it? Well, let me tell you what I'm doing about it. Water safety is a skill that can be learned. There's tips that you could take away from this right now that could save your child's life. Okay, one of those tips is that an adaptive swim trainer taught me is that you can you are able to prevent or buy yourself time by every single time that your child needs to go into a body of water, you sing a song. They need to take a bath. Well, we're going to sing the water song. You can pick what it is. Maybe it's row, row, row your boat, or it's, whatever you pick. You can pick any song. And that song, you sing it every time that we're going to get into the bath, anytime we're going to go into the pool, anytime we're going to go by a lake or into a lake. Like, you sing that song and then you go in. And the moment you do that is you are able to, your child will soon learn that habit that before they get into water, they sing that song. And so if they elope and they go into the canal nearby and you're chasing and you're running and you're trying to find them, well, that can give you an extra 30 seconds in that search to find your child. So what I want you to do is to look into water adaptive training. We actually have a webinar about this. It's linked in my bio that I have an adaptive swim trainer that I hired for my company in Utah. We bought a clinic with a pool inside the clinic to do therapy for kids with autism. And part of that is water safety, because it is the number one risk for kids who are autistic. And so how can we say that we're working on skills to protect their health and safety and not address water safety? So our clinic has a pool. We have professional adaptive swim trainers, and we do therapy inside the water to keep these kids safe. And so you need to find a place. Maybe it's not through ABA or another therapy like that, but maybe it is just swimming lessons, but your child needs to be safe in the water. They need to be able to know that if they throw their favorite toy in the water, that they don't jump in after it. All right, you guys, it has been great on here. We still have lots of time. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the guest box. You guys can go ahead and be inviting up. If you have a question, I'm going to be answering questions as people come up, and I can answer your question, talk to you. Let me go ahead and change the settings so you guys are able to see. Okay, go ahead and request up, and I'll go ahead and answer some questions. Oh, I see Destiny on here. Autistic, I see you. Hello, Destiny. How are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Yeah, thank you for being here today. You
So
hanging
I
in there?
need your help.
Oh, yeah.
I think you'll be a little bit more knowledgeable in this. So you know the trouble we've been having trying to find services for Hudson.
Yeah.
We found an in-home provider that their wait list is only 3 to 6 months. Great.
Wow.
The problem is the analysis portion is telehealth. The RBT comes to the house, but that's telehealth. And she's saying that she can't have us because TRICARE won't cover that. Do you have experience with that? Is there a loophole?
No.
Is there an exemption? Do you have any experience with that?
And how long is their wait list? 6 months?
Yeah, she said 3 to 6 months.
I don't know on that one. We are trying to get in with TRICARE still, and I don't have experience working with them, but they do have a lot of rules. So I wouldn't put it past them that they can't do that. I will say, like, first of all, like, telehealth isn't the best, but it is way better. And like, jump on that. If there's no other options in your area for ABA, you don't like, let's make
It's
telehealth
better than
work.
nothing.
It's better than nothing. It's not just better than nothing, but it is like 90% there, you know, like
I
going
mean,
from
if the
telehealth.
RBT is going to be in home with him every day, then how significant is the telehealth anyway?
Yeah, the problem is how are they doing the telehealth? And you have to make sure they're doing it right, because what a lot of people, when they start doing telehealth, the behavior analyst ends up just turning their screen off and being on the other line for like 3 hours and not saying anything to the RBT. And so if you have a lazy behavior analyst, it's gonna suck.
Right.
But if you have a good behavior analyst, they can make it work. Still not my favorite, but it's good. It's fine. Now let me just say though that this insurance thing can be a big deal, and I think it's worth a phone call to TRICARE and explain the
Yes,
situation
I
and say,
did call them.
and what did they say?
She said that I would have to um, get some sort of exemption. She said she was going to send me a form. I
Perfect.
didn't get anything, so I'm going to have to end up
This is
calling
going to
them
be a
back.
fight, but it sounds like you can probably make it happen. Like, you fight this and you get the form, you fill that out, you fight this, you tell the company that, hey, they said that they're fighting it. I'm willing to start whenever. Let's get this going, and you start it.
Yeah, I mean, he can always get other ABA services with other companies when that becomes available, but right now that's not an option for
Yeah.
us. So if they have an RBT that will come work with him every day, I'm going to take it if I can get it. It's just going to be getting around TRICARE and their stupid rules,
Yep. Yes.
which is a nightmare.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It shouldn't be this hard.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't for sure. Okay, we got a lot of people. Autistic Dope, I'm so sorry. I think you've tried to come up before, and I've seen you in the chat a lot. Let's bring you up. I'd love to have a conversation with you. How are you?
Hello?
Hello. How are you?
Uh, good. Good as
Awesome.
can be possible.
Oh, good. Where do you live?
I live in Michigan.
You live in Michigan. Okay,
Um,
that's great. How
I
can we help you
took
today?
3 different preliminary tests by one by through yours, the RAD 14,
Yes.
and then I took the 80 question one.
Yes.
And the other one I took before by another psychologist. Actually, all 3 of them said the extreme same thing that I
Really?
have. Yeah, it said like the first one I think was a 10 question. If you get past like 16, or no, it's past 14.
14. It's clinically significant. Now, have you
Yeah.
scheduled an evaluation with a psychologist?
Uh, I went to my psychologist and they told me, because I called my insurance company and they will pay for it, the evaluation plus no copay. I just got to see my doctor on the 14th for, what is it, I'm forgetting the word, for so they can, dang it.
Oh, like, you have to pay your portion, you're saying?
No, it's not even that. It's like I got to get a request.
Oh, a
Not
referral?
a request. Referral. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. So you can go to your
Um,
primary care and
mhm.
have your primary care doctor. Do you have a doctor you go to?
Actually, I just started, and I haven't been to it for the second time yet. But
Okay. So go to your
she
doctor. What you're
was
gonna Yeah, go ahead.
she's a little reluctant because obviously a lot of people are saying more about it. But I found out that it runs in my biological family,
Yeah.
and I'm adopted.
Yeah.
So, but
Anyone,
the
if your
problem
doctor
is
if your
they don't
doctor
talk about
denies
it.
it, if your doctor says, "Oh no, like, based on your screeners, you don't need to do this. This is just a trend." Fire that doctor. That doctor doesn't belong to work with you. They don't deserve you. Because I tell you what, like, you score that high on these screeners, you need to go and talk to a psychologist, because it's going to
Yeah.
validate how you feel about everything, and guide how you can
Well,
get care and support.
I don't have children support. My like I said, the biological family just wants to chalk the autism up to I know it's just probably their brains, but they call it incest.
Oh,
And I'm unfortunately, the funny thing is I got a IQ of 120,
yep.
which with IQ of 120, there's approximately 8 billion people in this world. I am technically more intellectually. Ow! Don't bite my finger, cat. sorry. That's my. I actually call my cats. That one is my granddaughter because I can't have kids that I think of. But so cats are my kids.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
but yeah, that's why you called it the third eye tap. I call it the headbutt. That's
yeah.
what cats do,
Oh yeah.
and I really like it. But anyway,
Yeah.
but
Your
my
doctor needs
biological family calls it something else, and they don't want to talk about it.
Well, what you need
My
to be aware of is that
adopted
like
family said
they don't
they don't care
understand that
if it runs
autism
into.
is not an intellectual disability. Those
Oh
are
yeah,
two different things. A lot of people with autism also have intellectual disabilities, but that doesn't sound like you.
that's the thing. I don't. It's
And so, but
I've been told about this something called 2E.
yep, twice exceptional.
That's what apparently one of the doctors that I talked to and read down through it, and he says that after I get he said with the stuff that I told about the autism, saying that I should have that actual evaluation with all three of those being extremely high. I think the first one was like I said 14, I scored 18. The second one I did of yours, I scored the 41.
Yeah.
And the 80 question one was
Any
464.
primary care physician in their right mind is going to give you a referral to the psychologist, and you could get that today. Like you could call if you've been to that doctor before. All you have to do is call and say, like, "Hey, I took these autism screeners. I want a referral to go to a psychologist. Can you please get me that referral?" And that might even be something they don't need to see you for if you've been there before. And so make it happen, get it out to the psychologist, and let's get an evaluation so you can get clarity. Because even if you are 2E, twice exceptional, that still means there's support that you may need to have. Like it is challenging to be autistic, and challenges come with it. And sometimes accommodations are needed, and having that validity and knowledge, that's important.
And if I am 2E, that means there's more challenges because because of obviously stuff for the autism side of it and the high intellect side, because those are both very specific issues and needs that I would have to have addressed. And so it would mean that I'm going to have some sort of form of help in life.
Absolutely.
And the funny thing is, like I said, it runs in the family. My biological mom, this is totally weird. My biological mom literally is classified as someone suffering some psychopathy.
Yeah.
And I literally have 40% traits of my biological mother's psychopathy. And all the other traits fall under literally the autism. And I've been studying this for 5 years. I'm actually going to be going into psychology.
Well, I'm excited for you to get some answers. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next person. Thank you so much for being up here.
Thank you.
All right. You have a good one. All right, everybody. This is a wonderful day. Thank you all for being here. We're going to continue to have some conversations here over on the YT platform. I read the book Belonging, which went heavy on getting perspective first. I would also recommend Letting It Go. That was the first book I ever read for psychology-based info. Thank you, Amy, for that recommendation. I was diagnosed at 33. I'm turning 35. I saw some traits on my kid when I got diagnosed. She just started hitting herself, so I am struggling. Amy, so your daughter is not yet diagnosed. I think it's probably good. I mean, if you've done the MChat, you should definitely look at it and see if it's worth getting an evaluation for your daughter. All right, everybody. How do I talk to my daughter about how to get help for my baby? She is in denial. They need help. Oh, my daughter-in-law? Wait. How do I talk to my daughter-in-law to get help for my babies? Why is your daughter-in-law over your babies? I don't understand. Are you saying your grandkids? And she's in denial that her children need help? Is that what's going on here? That's a hard thing. It's a hard thing when you are seeing a parent in denial of support that they need, and whether it's a cousin, a grandchild, or whoever it is that you're seeing, it's one of the most delicate conversations to have with someone. And what's concerning is, like, I've had people in such strong denial that the kids are age 5 and still can't talk, and the parents are like, oh, they're just a late bloomer. Kids will be kids. Boys will be boys. They're going to be fine. It is concerning, but at what point is it your role and not their role? What do you guys think in the chat? Let me know your guys' thoughts on this. When do you tell someone to get their kid evaluated for autism, and how do we do that? I would hope that at the point that I have kids, or that I have grandkids, that I have such a good relationship with my own kids, and hopefully with my those who have married in, that I would be able to have that conversation with them in a very loving way. And if they continue to deny and have concerns, I mean, they're the parents. You've done your part. They're the parents. They're the parents. And they're not going to raise your kid or their kid the way that you would raise them. Sometimes that's hard for us to accept. Why is the convo with the daughter-in-law, not your own son? Oh, pet, that's a good question. Yeah. Yeah, why is it daughter-in-law? Maybe the son is not around anymore? I don't know. Okay, everybody. Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, you mentioned daughter-in-law instead of your son. I'm a proud parent of 2 diagnosed ASD, and I love these conversations. Little Cammie, thank you so much for being here. I love these conversations too. My son has tried, but no change. Oh, I got it. So your son has tried to talk to her. Your son is concerned, but she is not there. Yeah, look, it's hard, but as a grandparent, or if you are not in that relationship, I mean, it's not your responsibility is my thought. That we can continue to give resources and information. And I mean, the husband, like, here's the thing is, if my child like that, oh my gosh, thank you so much for the hat and mustache. I appreciate that. If it's my child, nothing's getting in the way of my child getting the services that they need. I think a lot of people are scared of the label. And this is probably the conversation that I would have is like, are you afraid of the autism label? Tell me about that. Okay, like, yeah, I'm worried that it's gonna. Usually, people say like, I just don't want to give them this label so early on because it's gonna like drag them down their entire life. And like, oh, that's interesting. Look, the autism diagnosis isn't something shameful. It's not something to drag them down. In fact, what's going to drag them down is if they don't have access to the supports to lift them up. And this child is going to grow up, and if it is autism, that doesn't go away. They're going to become an adult, and they're going to come to resent their parents who failed to give them the support that they needed throughout their childhood. You are not tearing them down by giving them a diagnosis and giving them that stigma. You are building them up and strengthening them with the resources that they need to be successful. Does it get better with age? TikTok shop, that's a good question. Does it get better with age? It depends. Maturation, maturity, and growing up definitely helps a lot of autism. That alone doesn't always, it doesn't, necessarily mean your kid's going to catch up in all aspects and no longer be autistic. But yeah, the maturation is a big deal. Big deal. Some things get harder as your kid gets bigger. I tell you what, if your kid hits when they're young, I mean, it can be cute when a 2 or 3-year-old tries to hurt you, but when it's a 20-year-old and they're doing that same thing, it can turn from cute to scary pretty quick. Oh, this is a good question. It's harder to find out later in life. You literally have to deconstruct everything you know about yourself. Guys, I've talked to people who are autistic who feel like they don't even know themselves anymore because who they are is someone that they created based on what they thought society wanted to see, but not who they truly were. And so now as they're unmasking, they're wondering, who am I? Who am I actually? I'm not this person that I had created. That was like a character I was playing. Who am I? And that is a real problem a lot of people who are autistic are going through. And, you know, a therapist that's informed in autism, they understand that really well and can walk you through that. I just found out at 55 years old. Wow. How do I get a doctor to listen to me as an adult? They tell me I don't seem autistic. I talk too much. Oh my goodness. Well, if you're talking too much, that can actually be an indicator of autism. A lot of people who are autistic can't read the social norms of like, hey, don't talk anymore. That can indicate autism. And so what I would do is there are validated tests, there are screeners that you can take that indicate that you should go and get tested for autism. The RADS 14 is one of them. It's linked in my bio. The full RADS, which is like 80 questions instead of 14 of the condensed version, is one that you can do. All right. Hey, I'm curious. We have a lot of people in here, and I think people come and go. I'm curious, where is everyone from? I'm here in Utah. Put it in the chat. Where are you guys from? We still have a lot of time to talk today. I want to know where you guys are from. Put it in the chat. Okay, we got Alabama, Ohio, Wisconsin, Texas, Oklahoma, Washington, Georgia. Anyone out of the country? China. We got someone from China. I love that. Northern Ireland. Oh, my goodness. Michelle says, I'm in Utah. I need help. Hey, DM me. I'm in Utah. Michelle, DM me if I can support you. If you're looking for somewhere to get diagnosed, if you're looking for any services, I'm well connected in the state of Utah. I can get you help. DM me. California, South Carolina, Sweden, Georgia, Arizona over on the YT platform. Amazing. Australia, Renee, that's pretty cool. I'd love to go there. Las Vegas, I like Vegas. Would a RAD score of 178 be enough for me to try? The full RADS test, I don't remember what metric is clinically significant. In that summary, it should have told you if it was clinically significant. The RADS 14 test in my bio is over 14 is clinically significant. And so what you're going to want to do is you do one of those screeners. You take that to your doctor and you say, hey, look, I took a screener. Can you refer me to get an evaluation? Now, a lot of times you can just call the psychologist directly and you don't need a referral. A lot of insurances don't require that referral. But if they do, you can bring that screener to your pediatrician or to your doctor, your primary care. Oh, wow. This is a good question. My son is almost 13. Any tips for puberty? Oh. I think a lot of us just don't plan on our autistic kids going through that. Let's just not have them do that. Is that an option? No, Amanda, that's a good question and a good reminder to all of us. Your autistic kids, they're going to go through puberty. They're going to have real concerns. There's a lot of people who, if they're level 1 on the spectrum when they were diagnosed, a lot of times people with lower support needs during puberty, it tends to be a more challenging time because during that time is when, there's a lot of hormonal changes, but also the societal pressures shift in school and with friends. And a lot of times kids with autism they struggle to navigate that. And so you need professionals in your life. My big takeaway here is, do you have a care team to walk you through this? Do you have a good doctor for your child? Do you have a good ABA therapy if you're in that, or occupational therapy or speech? School, what does school support look like? At that age, and if they're conversational, mental health therapy can be great to help children work things out through puberty. I know it's like, hey, like My kid doesn't need therapy. We don't need to go do talk therapy. But mental health therapy can be great, especially at that age if they're conversational and they're going through some mental health challenges related to puberty. Okay. Oh, Autumn. Yeah, I ran away like every couple weeks when I was a teen because I couldn't deal with everything. Oh, my gosh. Yes. All right. We're going to keep bringing guests up. We have a lot of people, or some people in the guest box. Go ahead and request up. I'll bring up some more people. Let's see. The Neurodiverse Way. Hello. Welcome in. How are you? We'll see if we can get people loaded in here. Hello. How's it going? Where are you from? Looks like you're muted. Not sure if you can hear us or not. It's okay. I can go on to the next person. If you figure it out and you want to come back in, feel free to. All right, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and load the next person in. Charlene, hello. I'm going to load you in. We'll see if that works. Hey, Charlene. How's it going? Are you there, Charlene? Where are you from?
Oh, hello?
Hey, Charlene. How's it going?
Hi,
Where are
do
you
remember
from?
me, Kylan? I talked to you maybe 2 weeks ago.
Oh my goodness. I need to remember. Remind me what we talked about.
Well, I'm a new grandma of a 2.5-year-old
Oh, yes.
grandson.
I do remember.
Yes.
How's everything going?
Oh, sorry, I'm winded because I was sweeping and listening to you.
That's a good thing to
Well,
do.
everything's going good, Kylan. We're all just, absorbing it, just I don't know the words, but I wanted to share a story with you.
Oh, please.
We went to my daughter-in-law. She had to work. So Saturday they had a little Easter event for the autistic children.
Yeah.
And so my husband and I went with my son to, support him and help him because he has a twin little sister.
Yeah.
But she's fine, thank God she's not autistic. But
Yeah.
so we went, and I have to tell you, so many people were approaching us, but they're all with different, like, oh, try these medicines or try this therapy or try this. It
They're trying to
was
sell you
so
everything.
overwhelming. I was just,
Oh, that's
it's like everybody
exhausting.
had the answer for the cure, or, like I told my son, you just stick to the professionals and let them, maybe later on, you'll meet somebody who you click with and you can, I don't know.
Yeah,
See, my daughter is,
people need to calm down. We don't need to do everything. There's not a cure. You're not missing out.
oh,
Just slow down and stick to the basics. Stick to the basics. Build up your care team of ABA, speech therapy, OT, if you want to, and manage that. You don't need to figure out the cure yourself. Right now, science says there isn't one. Just everything's okay.
I mean, I just say we just take it one day at a time right now. We can't, nobody, if there was cures for everything, I think we'd have a cure for cancer,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I heard you say earlier too, when you were talking about your son, how you were first noticing things, and everything you said is everything I see in my grandson.
Oh, really?
The not answering to his name, that,
Not
and I mean, I
pointing,
was like, that's
not looking
exactly
where you
everything
point.
my little Leo was doing,
Yeah. It's important that we look for these early signs. Are you?
How is your son now, if I may ask, Kylan?
Say that again.
How is your son now? How is he? Is he
You
thriving?
know what?
Is he talking?
He's doing pretty good. He is learning words. My wife took a video last night of this is the first time of him independently saying "I love you" to her, and she got it on video, and it was beautiful. And so I just made a video of that, and I mean he can echo words. Most of what he says is like single word requests. He's almost 4. But so he has some struggles. There's meltdowns all the time. Yesterday, like he was in the bath, he got out and he had a 30-minute tantrum because he didn't want to get dressed, but he also didn't want to be naked and he couldn't tell what his body wanted. And he just had a 30-minute.
He couldn't tell you what he wanted.
Yes, he couldn't tell me what he wanted. And I honestly don't know that he knew what he wanted. I don't know. He, I think he wanted to be comfortable without having to go through the process of getting dressed. But so he still needs some support, quite a bit, and
Yeah,
we give it to him, and we love him. And my
absolutely.
daughter is diagnosed with autism, and she's almost 2, and she is just the sweetest girl. And I think if we wouldn't have had him first, and if I wasn't like immersed in this field, we totally would have missed it, because she regressed, but then within 3 months of regressing, she has caught
Mhm.
up and exploded. Like, her language is probably further than her older brother.
Oh, wow, that's great.
She's becoming, yeah, she's incredible. But yeah, it's really cool to see.
It really is.
Yeah.
I just
Are
miss to
you
see these
with
kids play
your autistic grandkids all the time? They
all
don't
the
live
time.
with you, right?
I watch them twice a week,
Twice a week. Oh, I love that. I love that.
and then we're together almost every weekend. So
Well, thank you
we
so
all
much
live
for coming up. Do you have
near each
anything else
other.
you want to share with everybody before I go ahead and move on to the next person?
I just would like to say to the new grandparents, just be there for your kids, whatever they need. Just obviously you love on your grandkids. That's a no brainer, but just give as much support, as you can.
Yeah. Charlene, I thank you so much. And I apologize that I didn't immediately remember you as the
Well, you
amazing
have so many
grandparent
people,
of
Kyle, and it's great. I love your platform.
well,
I watch you every day.
oh, Charlene, well, that makes me feel even worse that I forgot your name. But you,
That's okay. That's okay.
guys, Charlene is a stellar grandparent who I remember came on, and we celebrated. We all need a Charlene in our life, of a good a grandparent to these kids who are supportive, who are part of the village. We all need a Charlene, and it means the world to have that involved person in there. So thank you so much, Charlene, and come on up another time if you ever want to update us or tell us anything. I love having you up here.
I would love to update you about my little Leo anytime.
All right.
And God bless everybody and all your children.
Thank you so much, Charlene. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. What a good person. I love this. Over on the YT platform, we have some more comments. Oh yeah, 34 out of 42 on the Rads, Amy. That is a significant score. Now, again, when you take these tests, that doesn't mean that you're autistic. You can't diagnose yourself autistic, even if you score 42 out of 42 on the Rads 14. You that just indicates it's worth going and talking to a psychologist. Nicole says, I just picked up my son from ABA therapy. They thought he was throwing up, but he's been pocketing? What does that mean? Am I misunderstanding, Nicole? What does that mean? What are your thoughts on martial arts based on your swimming coach? I'm not sure I understand that question either. Oh, pocketing, holding the food in his mouth. I understand. Pocketing it in your cheeks. Yes. Yeah, my daughter does that. Very interesting. And I'm glad that it wasn't throw up. Yeah, guys, I don't know why that didn't click in my head. Pocketing. Yeah, thank you all for clarifying. Okay. Let's go ahead and keep answering some of these questions. Put it in the chat, you guys. If you have a question, I'm going to go ahead and answer. Memory problems with ASD. I don't know of studies that identify memory problems with ASD, but if you've experienced that, your experience is valid. Pet says, how do I explain situations to my partner without infantilizing or coming across like a mom? Pet, that is a good question. A lot of people who are autistic, especially those with low support needs, they also demand autonomy. And so it's less about telling them what to do and explaining a situation, and more about empowering them to get the support that they need and ask the right questions. And so that is what I recommend, is enable him to be the self-advocate, the one asking questions, put him in that situation. My son will be 4 next month, and he only repeats certain words. I got to tell you, Laura Lee, that's a good sign. Repeating words is powerful. Hopefully that continues to grow and expand. But if you can echo words, if you can repeat back the words that you hear, you can learn functional communication. That is exciting. Autism is linked to be great martial artists. Wondering if there was a correlation. Oh, Death, thank you for clarifying that. I don't know of a correlation. I do know that people with autism tend to be really good at things that they do. Their hyperfixation and their special interests, it really does lead them to become experts in whatever they choose to do. And that could absolutely be martial arts. Oh no, Lindsay says he went up to a bald gentleman and rubbed his head. Oh my gosh. My son doesn't do well with personal space. He goes up to strangers very easily and openly and rubbed a bald person's head. Oh my gosh. Oh, that would be embarrassing. Oh man. What did he do? What did you say? What did you say? It was funny, and thankfully the gentleman was understanding. You guys, what are some funny things your kids have done? I think it's good for us to laugh. I think it's good. The other day I took my son to the store, and he said hi to everybody. And like, he didn't look for their reaction. It didn't look like he was talking to them, but at them. But everyone thought he was the cutest. They tried to talk back to him, and he wouldn't say anything back. But it was really cute. My son is a reincarnation of a samurai. That's cool. My son repeated words starting at 6. He's now 9 and talks to me. Cassie, what good progress in 3 years. Guys, there is hope. You got to keep working with them. And you know what? Any kind of conversation to any level is progress. The goal with our kids is progress. We're not trying to make our kids normal. We're not trying to make them neurotypical. We're trying to make them who they are, the best versions of themselves of who they are. And progress is all we need to be seeing. I think that's why it's so hard for us to go to these like pediatrician visits and see how delayed they are and everything, because those are focused on how they compare to a neurotypical child, not what progress is your child making. That's the same issue I have with IEPs. They focus on how deficient is your child in these certain skills and academics instead of just focusing on what progress are they making. And I really like the focus on progress. That is so important. Any advice on autism and PANS and behavior? That's a very general question. Let me know a specific behavior of concern that you would like any advice on. I have lots of advice on autism and behavior. PANS, not so much. I don't have a lot of expertise in that. I'm autistic and moving out for the first time. Any advice? Chrono, congratulations. You're moving out? Are you kidding me, Chrono? Well done. Well done. Okay, that's a big deal. Look, I do have recommendations for you. This is going to be hard. This is a huge transition, Chrono. I'm so proud of you, but this is going to be hard. And what I'm going to ask is that you talk to your parents as you move out and you let them know, hey, for the next couple months, I need your help. I need your help making sure that I'm supported, that this transition is smooth. Expect an increase in anxiety, in stressors. And so maybe take it easy on yourself for the next month or two. Because the transition time is going to be brutal. But I want you to know you can adjust. You will adjust. And that can become your new norm. And you can be comfortable with it. Okay, we have another question on the YT platform. Any recommendations for reading on someone new to the ABA field? Yes, I do. Okay, there's two things that I want you to know. If you want to learn about ABA and you're new to the ABA world, well, it depends on what you're doing. If you're new to the world as like you are a parent new to ABA, I have advice. If you're a professional in the field and you're new, that's a different question. But if you're a parent and you're new to the ABA world and you want to learn more about it, there are some really great resources. The first one is a free training on the RBT training. So RBTs are those that are working with your child. They have to go through 40 hours of training. I have one linked in my bio that is 100% free and goes through. This is specifically good if you have a child who is young, like a toddler, and you want to work on communication. This is 40 hours of training teaching RBTs what they need to do when they're working with your kid. And you can go through that as a parent and get a lot out of it, and it can impact how you work with your kid. Do you know anything about ARFID? Any tips? Okay, put in the chat. If your child has ARFID, put it in the chat. Or if they're restricted eating and they don't eat very much, put ARFID in the chat. If they struggle to eat, if they're rigid with eating, put ARFID in the chat. So look, let me tell you, ARFID is terrifying. ARFID refers to extremely restricted eating habits, not just habits, but needs. Oftentimes, these people have 6 or fewer safe foods that they're able to consume on a daily basis. Think if your child can only eat pizza, chicken nuggets, and French fries. Those 3 things are the only things that are safe for them to eat. In their mind, safe. Like their body's not going to react like an allergy, but they might throw up. It is near impossible to get them to do that. I definitely have recommendations here. The first thing is keep their safe foods. Let's have none of this old school parenting of you eat what we make or you go to bed hungry. We're not going to do that here with ARFID. We're not. That doesn't work. It's dangerous. It's harmful. Many of our kids are going to go to bed hungry and not have the nourishment that they need. And so the first step is keep their safe foods by them. Keep those safe foods around them, please. After that, you keep those safe foods around them. Then you can start expanding what they're eating. Now, I have to say, don't just take advice from me on this. What I need you to do, if your son or daughter has ARFID and you want to work on expanding the food variety, what I want you to do is to go and get with an expert. Some of the most qualified people to address this are occupational therapists or speech therapists specifically trained in food, in feeding therapy. Some ABA providers are trained in this as well. And what they typically do is they slowly introduce new foods. It's not about begging them to eat or promising a big reward if they try something. No, it is about smaller steps. Think of like successfully introducing 2 or 3 new safe foods per year. Okay, that might be what success looks like. And what it looks like is, they are regularly being challenged by having food closer to them, or if it's you're trying to get them to be able to eat a toast. You're trying to eat toast. Well, you put it on a plate that is next to their food, not even on their own plate, a separate plate. But you start getting it closer, and then eventually, one day you put it on their plate. And then one day you tell them all they have to do is touch it. We're not going to make them eat it, just touch it. And then we want them to pick it up, and we want them to smell it. Then we want them to kiss it. And then we want them to touch their tongue on it. And then we want them to take the smallest bite possible. That's all. They can even spit it out. Just take a bite and spit it out. And you slowly start doing that over time, and you can build up their level of comfort around that food. That is quite often what food therapy, feeding therapy might look like, but I'm not an expert in it. I've just seen it done a lot, and that's what they typically do. So please make sure that you're working with a speech therapist. Let me give you guys a little bit of info about me. My name is Kylan. I live in Utah. I am a father of 2 children with autism, and I have 2 neurotypical kids who I love so much. And I am an autism advocate. I'm a board-certified behavior analyst, and I run a company that provides services to people with Utah. And so I go on live every single day at around noon Eastern time for a couple hours. And I love doing that. You guys are my village. I love talking to you guys. And so if you don't follow me yet, please make sure that you hit the follow button so that you can see next time I go live. I am at the end of our conversation today, so thank you all for being here. And I really appreciate y'all to be here. Have a good one, everybody. Have a good day. We'll see y'all tomorrow.